I hereby introduce to you Mr. Michael Veazey.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm talking with Aaron Sullivan of systemscultureimpact.com. I hope I've got that right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron. And we are talking today, in this episode, we're focusing on sellers already live with anywhere from a few to about 20 products or something roughly like that. And we're going to dive right into detail on how to do all sorts of exciting things, how to start working in your genius zone and free up to 10 hours in your week, how to effectively delegate, and how to grow your sales and unlock hundreds of hours per month whilst reducing risk. I'm reading from your bullet points you sent over, Aaron, so this all sounds very exciting. Let's get cracking.
Absolutely.
So first question is, what are the new needs that people have when they're trying to scale up from 1 or 2 products to between, say, 5 and 10 products or 20 products? What are the needs of people that come up afresh at that level?
Okay, yeah. So when you're moving from, just beginning, just starting out to, okay, now we're going to start adding, more products, more and more products, and then eventually team, then it's going to be all about habits and rhythms. In my personal experience, before you have a structure in terms of your own planning of the week ahead, what your outcomes are, where you're moving towards, having a rhythm where you can connect and you can check in with yourself and say, okay, this is what I'm going to start working on. And really, most people when they begin, it's just haphazard, it's all over the place. But having a set rhythm where you can really take stock of where you are, what you need to do in the next week, that's going to be the first point. The second point really is to start building the infrastructure that you're going to need to grow, because most people they just do the next thing that they need to do on their long to-do list, which is it's overwhelming for one. But when you've got a structure in place and you've got an idea of, if you think about it like laying a train track, right? You've got an idea of the mountain you're climbing, the train's going up, and the train is the business. So in terms of the infrastructure you need, we're talking things like having, project management software, having a way to keep you accountable to the things you've committed to move forward, and really having a way to start documenting the things you're doing. And that word kind of scares people a lot of the time. It's like, oh my God, that sounds, totally boring and unsexy. But the reality is, when you start to just map out the high level points of a system, for instance, the high level overview of opportunity finding to launching, when you've got that visually in front of you, it becomes a lot clearer for you to then start highlighting each part of that system to start removing yourself from. And when you've got that mapped out, and you can start building the infrastructure around that, in terms of having you've got the process map, the system mapped out, and you can reflect that in, for instance, Google Drive, where you can hold the relevant templates, you can hold the relevant documents that you need to be able to get clarity on each part of that system. And when you have that is used for new employees coming in, where they can say, okay, this is exactly the system of this particular part of the process that I'm going to be doing. I know how to do it. And, there'll be a training video that you've created on how to do the thing. So it really helps, take it from the high level to eye level. So having the overview of the system in an infrastructure which somebody coming into your business can say, I get the high level and I get the eye level of how to do the thing because there's a training video here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I like this high level and eye level stuff. Did you say that was a Taki Moore thing or something? Just to
That's correct. Yeah.
So Taki Moore, somebody you put me onto recently. I have to say, very impressive clarity of thought. So I like that he's got a good knack for neat little phrases. So high level to eye level. So what you're saying is you're trying to make sure that when you delegate to somebody, you give them the big picture of your business and then also the stuff they need to do. So you give them both. Is that what this high level, eye level thing means?
Yeah. So in terms of delegation, we can go through the steps to effective delegation shortly, but ultimately it's about mapping out the high level process of what you want them to do, and then basically just filming you do it as you do it. And that's basically taking it from, okay, this is the overview, and this is how we do it, and this is how it fits into the overall big picture. So they know when they're actually doing the thing, they know exactly the purpose behind it, because it's a big problem, because a lot of time we just say, I've got to do this. You delegate something to a team member, they've got no idea what that actually adds in terms of value it adds, which means they don't really feel engaged. They've not got buy-in on the thing. It's not inspiring them to do it, and they don't feel like part of the team. So having a why behind why they need to do it and what it does is important.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And also I think sometimes we can all forget, because of what we do is so obvious, because we live with it 24/7 and we spend our lives, especially in my case, I spend my life either talking with my business partner in an Amazon business or an outsourcer in my business, or fellow Amazon sellers in a mastermind, or I'm coaching people in a mastermind, or I'm speaking to somebody like you who listens to this. So if we don't live in that bubble, you forget what's obvious to you. It doesn't exist in somebody else's brain. And I think sometimes explaining the purpose just clarifies the task in a way that you forgot to say. By the way, if I ask somebody to set up interviews for me and I didn't clarify, I run a podcast, I'm looking for expert guests, they might do what one of Tim Ferriss's assistants famously did once and actually just book him a bunch of job interviews. And that is a classic example of book me a load of interviews, go, without explaining the purpose. Is sometimes a very practical mistake, as well as obviously a motivational one. And also what I like is, if I understand, just to feedback to you, the eye level idea, then it's basically saying, here's the big picture of what I want you to do. Here's me doing it on a video. How you can copy this exact step-by-step. Is that what it means more?
Okay, so when you're delegating, and this is what the process which really worked for us, and it's something which it actually took me a while to really grasp. And it does take discipline, because you realize when you don't do it right, there's no accountability, things take longer, the outsourcer gets confused, and it can be, it's very frustrating for the leader to basically outsource a task and it go wrong. It was like Tim Ferriss, they get booked a bunch of interviews, or it's completely off track of what you wanted, and it leaves everyone feeling frustrated. And so the point is, it's really about being super clear and having a system to make sure that the thing you delegated has been done correctly. And again, it took me a while because everything's so busy, right? I've got so much to do. But there's a saying which is from a US Navy SEALs, which is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And I really found that beneficial. It's one I got from my coach Chris, who really enabled me to see the benefit in just slowing things down, because when you do that, you start to speed up in that process. Because if you don't do it right first time, if you don't do it right and spend that a little bit of time up front, then when things start to pick up, so your Amazon business starts to scale and grow, then the things which you didn't delegate initially correctly start to cause problems down the line. So it's really about, step one is to highlight the parts of the basically build the high level overview of the thing you want to get rid of, like we talked about, and just the step by step. It doesn't have to be in huge detail. But the reason why we do that is because the next step two, is to basically create a training video of you actually doing the task. Or even better, you can jump on a Skype or a Zoom call, do a screen share with the person that's going to do the actual thing. And they're going to see you actually go through the high level overview. They're going to see you go and do the actual thing, so they can be clear on exactly how to do it. And step three, on that video, you can clarify to them, exactly how we're going to measure the success of this new thing they're doing. So let's say, for instance, it was customer service. So you're going to jump on a screen share, record, and show exactly how to do the customer service that in the way that you want it done. How you measure anything in business is usually one of three things, and people call these KPIs, which they're broken down into, number one is quality, speed, or cost. So they're the three things which you can measure by which, and most things, in most cases, are going to be speed. Time is a really common key performance indicator, which is what that stands for. So in the example of customer service, it's going to be speed for sure, because you want the responses met by, let's say, an hour. You want every email coming in from a customer responded to in 1 hour. But the other KPI, which is important as well, is quality, because the outsourcer could just create, a really bad response, which doesn't do great for your brand or doesn't add massive value to the customer. So it's important to have the quality KPI as well. And how you do that is you just create, show them examples of what success looks like. You give them previous emails which you've done, which really got a great response back from the customer, and you have these as guiding, a guide to show them this is what good looks like or excellent looks like. And obviously the speed is respond within an hour. So that's the 3 steps so far. So it's about high level workflow, create the training with them on the call, and then create a way to measure success. Step 4 in this process would be to then block in to the person that's going to be doing the task is going to block it into their calendars to do it. So in the example of customer service, this is something that needs to be done daily, and it needs to be checked all through the day. So it'd be a way so they don't forget. They could set reminders. They could use a timer. So every hour they check the inboxes. So that's going to be super important because you don't want them obviously to miss the customer service emails coming in. The next step in this example would be step 5, and that's you, the leader, would need to block a time in to inspect and coach them if what they're doing is not good enough. So what that looks like is really simple. In the customer service response example, I'll just book in a time the next day, or because it's something which is kind of sensitive, customer related stuff, it might take some more hands-on inspection and coaching. So it could be a daily thing. In a different example of, let's say they're going to be doing a different task in your business, you could block it in for a week later, and then 2 weeks later, and 3 weeks later, and you just check in to see, okay, yeah, that's good. That's that's what it should be looking like, or you need to change these few things. So that's step 5. Step 6 would be then once you've inspected them and they're really clear on how it's done, you get them to create themselves the SOP. So that's the standard operating procedure, where it's basically a step-by-step guide of exactly how to do the thing. Customer service, you can use screenshots, you can use step-by-step, and you don't do that as a leader because your time is much more valuable than that. You'll be using your team members who now understand the process. They now understand how to do the thing. They're going to create the document which can be used when anyone comes into the business as a training guide. And finally, the step 7, which I kind of added on myself, which was really and one I've developed because I feel it's super important, is to celebrate and recognize the team members in a meeting or an email or in a Skype group chat or whatever, just to give them appreciate what they've done and give them credit for the growth that they've been on. And what that does is that really encourages them to really have be inspired for one, but to be recognized, gives them significance. And it really everybody wants to be appreciated and celebrated when you've done good. So it helps conditioning as well. So they're like, okay, they're thirsty to learn more things as well, and they know that they're going to be recognized when they do good. I hope
I think that's a really nice, clear seven-step process. And I think what's really nice, I like your 7th step, the recognition thing. I think we all forget. I mean, unless you've been in a situation yourself recently where, even for example, people will do stuff for free because, I do stuff for free for charities. I've conducted choirs in the past where everyone's doing stuff for free. I mean, the only people getting paid is myself conducting and the pianist, and I sometimes being the pianist as well, but everyone else is doing it for free. Sometimes they have meetings 3 times a year. They'll spend hours organizing stuff. They'll organize publicity. It's all for free. And it's because of the power of recognition. And what happens is at the end of the year, somebody says, thank you so much to Christine for making tea for everyone throughout the year. Really appreciate it. Clap, clap, clap. And if you've ever been the person on the receiving end of that, and I have, it's really powerful. And we all forget, because we're entrepreneurs, we're so money and goal orientated. We forget, we kid ourselves about ourselves because we want recognition. We just want it in a different way. And B, we forget how powerful it just is to say thank you in front of other people. So I really, really like that addition. I think that's really powerful. So now that's a really nice, clear process of the overview. And I should say at this point, by the way, that we're going to have Aaron's produced some beautiful resources for us, including several lovely cheat sheets and very highly produced, very beautifully structured. And that all will be available over at the blog, amazingfba.com/Aaron. Says AARON, if I've got it right. And also there will be as usual, if you want to get show notes for every single episode, they're over at the blog. This is the 200th episode of Amazing FBA. So congratulations, Aaron, for making a very minor bit of history. And that will be at amazingfba.com/200. So if you need the show notes, and I think particularly for this very meticulous structured process, I really, really would urge anyone to get over to the blog and not just listen. If you're listening in the car or running, please don't start using your iPhone when you're driving, but do that later. But I'd urge you to do it now. Let's get on to thinking about how you structure the processes of your business as a whole. So I've been having this issue recently with a business partner. We're trying to, not we're arguing, but we're trying to figure out between ourselves, how do we structure stuff between us and our VAs? Would you sort of develop little departments like a research department, sourcing department, and say product photography or listings department, or would you have each product as a sort of separate project at this stage? So when we're looking at somebody who's got, say, 5, 10, 15, 20 products.
Got it. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can do it. The way that we do it, and that's been working very well for us, is we have the whole business broken down into the systems which enable it to grow and work correctly, right? So there's going to be a few core revenue driving processes. We've touched on one of them, and I just want to recap it on that, which is the main product launch system. So this is this, if you look at it as a high level overview of the sourcing, opportunity finding, all the way through all the steps that you need from finding the opportunity, finding suppliers, analyzing, all the way through to creating listings, and then eventually launching. That would be one system, and that's going to be the heartbeat of many Amazon businesses, especially private label businesses. And that process can take anywhere from if you've got suppliers domestically, it can take anywhere from 1 month to 6 months to launch kind of a product. So that's going to be the core revenue driving process on Amazon. But there are also other systems which are important to make the Amazon business grow. So for example, you've got the product launch system that we've talked about. You've got PPC, so everything to do with Amazon sponsored advertising, AMS. That would be a system in and of itself, where there would be a couple of team members that completely own that, and the same goes with the high level overview of the product launch system. So there will be a series of other processes as well. For instance, we call anything to do with customer service, we call that customer love in our company, and it means anything to do with customer facing things, from email responses to voting, getting reviews voted up, to customer review comments, to seller feedback, changing feedback to product reviews. All that kind of stuff would be a system of it in and of itself, and that's something that the customer love team would handle. So I hope that's been clear so far. So basically, we've mapped out, there's going to be, a bunch of different systems in the Amazon business which enable it to continue to grow. So just at the highest level, we've got the product launch system, you've got financials, the things that need to be done in terms of reporting each and every week, inventory management. You've got an ongoing listing optimization system where everybody involved in that system, their role is to continue to improve the conversion rate, the visibility of the listings, and to make sure that they're competitive in the marketplace. You've got the customer love system, which is what we call it, and these are different team members that look after each one of these kind of systems, and obviously PPC, and we've also got content creation and a few more. But ultimately, we've broken down the Amazon model into different systems, and if you think about them like verticals, then that will give you a kind of a good visual of what that looks like as a high level workflow.
All right. So now, sorry, I was just going to bring this back to the sort of person that's in a position that has, say, 5, 10, 15 products, whatever, and they're looking to scale up, or so they've got 5 to 10 products and they're looking to scale to 20 or so over the course of a year, say. You've given us sort of 5 separate systems so far. I've just check that, if I understand, obviously the sort of core product launch, so finding, sourcing, launching system, as you call that one system, PPC system, customer service or customer love in your case, and then the other couple that I was just looking at, the financials and the numbers, inventory management and so forth, and then listing optimization. Now, if you're looking at managing a process that is putting up hundreds of SKUs, it makes sense to me to break it down in this way. Now, is it over the top to break it down that way if there's just, say, you and a business partner plus 3 part-time VAs or whatever it is that you actually have in reality, plus a bunch of suppliers, of course, that float around the edge of your business? Or is it better to break it down further, or does it still make sense to break it up by that sort of process?
That's a great question. So depending on where you're at in your journey, if there's a few of you, then you just take what's most relevant for you now. So in most cases, it's going to be the core things which you're going to need is, in my personal opinion, is to have a system. You need a clarity of a system of opportunity finding and launching. So we call that the product launch system. You want that as a system in of itself. There's going to be multiple people touching that process along the way. There's going to be designers. There's going to be an analysis done on the finances and so forth. But it's about just taking the few core ones which are most relevant and important for you right now. And that, for me, would be the product launch system, Amazon paid advertising. It would be customer service. And you can think about them as, little pods. So you could have one person doing the customer service, one person doing PPC, and one person doing the, a couple of people doing the product launch system. So that'll give you, all you need, and to really make sure that the core revenue driving processes and the systems in your business which are going to move the needle forward are going to be looked after. And when you've got that mapped out, how do you actually bring that alive in your business? It's about having clarity on what they need to do. So, for example, the process, the system of paid advertising on Amazon, you'd have that mapped out. So you could have the high level overview, you can have somebody looking after it, and then each and every week, their role is to come in and actually do the optimization on that process, on the campaigns, to move the needle forward. And it can be taken from, if you've got a large team, the more processes you're going to have and systems you've got built out. But if there's just a few of you, then just take the core things which are most relevant, and it's really about modeling and kind of tweaking it to fit your specific needs. But again, focus on the revenue driving systems, PPC, product launch. You've got the optimization of listings. That's going to be important. As long as you've got rhythms built around the key things which make a product work on Amazon, that's all you need. So having them dialed in and set as regular rhythms in your business where each week that's going to get done without fail, then that's the outcome.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. That's a really nice, clear, sort of simple approach for quite a lot of us. And I would probably include myself in that, who are not doing big numbers, but are trying to scale up out of that level. And I think it's hard to let go of stuff sometimes. But one of the things you just said really just struck a chord, which is that making sure stuff gets done. One of the reasons to delegate stuff isn't even just having not enough time, although that's always true, I find, but it's just because actually when somebody else has got a specific responsibility for it, is probably going to get done as long as you take your responsibility to check in with them as well. But at least if I find that a VA Skyping me and saying, hello, I've done this task, what's next, is a prompt for me to go, let me review that. Whereas if it had been on my own to-do list in the past, for example, product research, I just wouldn't do it. It would stay on my to-do list for months, but other things would get in the way. And actually, although the other things were urgent, they weren't growing the business. And so, I think delegation isn't just about getting stuff off your own plate. I think it's actually sometimes the only way to move the business forward. I mean, it depends how disciplined you are in your personal management. But so let's talk about tools. What simple, we're bearing in mind, because I know you're a man who deals with sophisticated business management for quite big sellers, and we'll talk about that in the next episode, but keeping it real for the little guys who are just scaling up. What tools would you recommend for project management, specifically setting up and managing these processes? And then we'll talk through how to use each one in turn.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so a great question. And over the last 4.5 years of messing around with various different ones, the one that really we love and it really clicks with us is Asana. It was created by the guys that created Facebook, one of the first few guys. But really beautiful platform, and it can be really easily adapted for our model. You can use it in a way which, historically we've used it, which is having, tasks, which kind of, we take our high level process, which we've created, and the system which we've created in, say, a Google Doc, and then we just simply copy and paste it into Asana, and it's a workflow, which we then use that to then go ahead and delegate. You can use it in a way, in a Kanban situation, which is also a really great way to, for me personally, I think that's the Kanban, a Kanban board is great for more project-based things. So for instance, sourcing and launching products, you can clearly see how to what you need to focus on to move it forward. And Kanban was, I believe, it was a Japanese, come from Toyota, I believe, in the 70s, it comes from lean methodology, which is how, agile methodology, how to get the most from your business and how to eliminate waste. And there's Lean Kit, which is a great Kanban board service. But again, you've got this inside of Asana, and I feel it really works well with the Amazon model.
Great. Let me just, sorry to interrupt you, just to drill down on the specifics of that, because I know the devil's sometimes in the detail. So you mentioned that you can use Asana in a non-Kanban way, so just to explain to anyone who hasn't seen this stuff, I mean, basically, if I had this as my Kanban board behind me, I'd have like a series of Post-it notes in as a to-do list, and then in progress, and then done, for example. And that's not the only way to use it. And I just move it across when it's in progress or when it's done. I'd move those tasks across. So I find that very visual and very helpful myself. We also have used Asana and Trello, which is another similar one. So tell me about the way of using Asana when you bring stuff across from a Google Doc and you don't kind of use it in a Kanban style. How does that work?
Yeah, sure. So it's really about, bringing alive the workflow that you've mapped out. It's kind of taking it, and I'll say it again, taking it from high level to eye level, and it's the similar sort of method. And yeah, that's from Taki, a great coach. Taki Moore, his name is, so you should definitely check him out if you can. But basically, you've mapped out the high level workflow, and you've got an idea of exactly each step of the process. And in this example, we use the product launch system. So that's a series of high-level steps on how to do, how to actually find a product and launch it. It would just be as simple as highlighting that process, that workflow, copying that, and then opening up Asana and pasting it into Asana. So you've got a hard copy on Google Drive on Sheets, and now you've got it actually inside of Asana where it can actually come alive, and you can start assigning the tasks to the relevant people, and you can start assigning dates, and there's a beautiful way you can add a description. What we always do is we add the outcome, why they're doing this and what it means and the purpose of that. But it's really great for accountability. It gives everyone real clarity on what they need to do to move that item forward. There's also, Asana has an amazing calendar view as well. So for any person in your team, you can see exactly what they've got on any given day and the deadlines that they're supposed to be meeting.
Nice. Okay. Right. That's interesting, because my business partner and I looked at Asana and Trello next to each other. They're pretty similar in a lot of ways, but Asana has some interesting features which quite a few of my friends who are Amazon sellers seem to like. But I really, really like the way you've done it. So basically, if I understand, you've got, on the one hand, you've got a sort of SOP or high level, set of procedures that live in the abstract. And then once you put them into Asana, they become, as you put it, alive. And so they're assigned to a person, and they're given a due date and given a purpose. So you make it kind of from a list of here's what we got to do to here's what this person's doing when, and that sort of stuff. That's really nice and clear. Thank you for that. Now,
so I'll just add as well, just jumping in. So in that, when you've copied and pasted the high level workflow, that is yours, it's your IP. You copy and paste it into Asana, and you can go ahead and add links. We always add a link to the actual training video that we've recorded on how to do that actual thing that you want, that you've assigned to somebody. So what we do is, in that process of delegation, which we talked about, you would have recorded a video, and then you want to upload that video. We have our own private YouTube channel. You can use whatever you want, but we include the link to that video in the task. So if somebody's off or sick, or they've forgotten how to do it, they can just click the video, watch the video of the how-to, and go and actually execute on that. And there's also a link to the SOPs as well, if they've been created.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's a really, really powerful. Thank you. Yeah, so you're basically, I like this high level to eye level. I like it. So you're getting this abstract list of here's what our business needs to do to achieve, this big picture outcome, launch 10 products in a quarter or whatever it is. And then you're breaking it down to tasks, and each task has got, if I can get this right, then you've got, scribbling massive lists here myself. You got the outcome or the purpose, which is important. So, don't book interviews for Aaron, meaning, a job interview. It's actually interviews for podcast. The person who's doing it, the due date, and then you also put links to training videos and SOPs. So you basically, it's belts and braces. So you're linking. So I guess the SOP is another form of low-level IP or intellectual property, or structures within your process. So you're kind of linking everything together, but you're making it very actionable for each individual person. Is that a fair summary?
That's a fair summary, yeah.
Great, excellent, thank you. Now another question around project management and project management systems. Particularly, let's stick with Asana because it's a common one, and it's a very easy to use and very, I think, user-friendly compared to other things I've seen, which just frightened me to death. Very corporate, like this Gantt charts and Microsoft projects. I would stay away from that.
Scary stuff.
Yeah. So let's stick with Asana. What's the difference between managing a project, which is by its nature basically a one-off? So sourcing a new product or getting a new product to market is a one-off thing. So you do your product research, which you may do keyword research later, but you're going to rely on your own Amazon data probably, right? Then you find a new supplier. You don't want to find a new supplier every time. You just go back to the same supplier, right? So then you launch it, and hopefully you don't have to keep relaunching it unless you keep running out of stock. So that's a project, and it has a beginning and an end. How would you differentiate in how you structure that versus a process, for example, restocking products or product inventory management and restocking decisions, because those are ongoing and recurring?
Sure. So in terms of the project-based stuff, and we'll use the product launch system for this example, that is something which happens, like you said, when you're launching a new product, you will find the product and launch it. In them kind of situations, I find it really helpful. We've used both situations, both different types of way to manage this. And one way is the list version, of which, if you've seen Asana, you can have it just a high level overview of all the steps in that workflow. Or you can use the Kanban, situation where you've got clarity on all of the things that you need to do to move that system forward. So it's essentially the same thing. All we do is we create a template in Asana. So we've got the product launch system as a template, and when we want to launch a new product, we just click the template, duplicate it, and then we just remove the steps, which in the example you gave of, if we're using the same supplier, then we can skip a bunch of things, and we just won't assign that to anybody because we've already done that. We've done that previously. So it's really about just creating a template. And for project-based stuff, it's great to get visual, which I find it easier with the Kanban stuff. So that's usually a great place for people to start, which is just a visual board for people to move things from to do, doing, done, and it enables everyone to see what's in the pipeline. So I hope that answered your question.
That answers the question about the project management type stuff, and that helps clarify. But what I'm interested in is the difference between how you manage how you use your tools and which tools you use, and the process of the difference between managing projects, which are one-off, as we've just gone over, and you've explained very nice and clearly, and a process. For example, let's say financial measurement. So each week or each month, you probably want to pull the figures, or every 2 weeks in the case of Amazon, pull the figures off Amazon, make sure it matches up with your profit and loss management accounts, make sure it matches up with your records that are going to go to your corporate tax at the end of the year. So how would you manage a process as opposed to a project?
Okay, for the example that you just gave, what we have is we have a CPA. She's based in the Philippines. She has her system, which she does each and every week, and it's blocked into a calendar. Like, it's her heartbeat, which she looks after in terms of the business, where each day she knows what she's got to do, which she does each and every week. And there will be things that come in she needs to do ad hoc, but the core things that we need to do, in terms of reporting, being delivered on time, things like syncing with our Xero account and having the financial reports presented to, me and my business partners before our meeting, all these things are going to be set in Asana in a way which she has a reminder on when she needs to start that process to get the thing delivered on time in the business. So it's just about just setting a recurring task in Asana where they can, each and every week, they know exactly what they need to do on what days, and it's just a rhythm.
Excellent. And Asana will also send out reminders as well as set due dates as well.
Yes. So excellent. It's all through your email. You're going to get notifications of if you're late. I get quite a few of them sometimes. That if I don't execute on something, they get friendly reminders on things that I need to get to and fix up.
Great. Well, I think that's plenty for people to absorb. So let's leave it there for this episode. And as episode 3, if you're one of those precious unicorns that is scaling up from 20 to 100 or 200 or whatever products, then listen up for episode 3 of the ones with Aaron, which will be episode 201. And we'll be covering some great stuff that will blow your mind there. Hi, this is Michael Veazey from Amazing FBA. I've got a quick one for you. If you're super stoked and awesomely excited to sell on Amazon, that's great. But if you're American, I'm afraid you need to stop listening, because this one is for the Brits only. I'm not being biased, but this is because I'm talking about something which is based in London. So you're going to need to be in Britain or near Britain to take advantage of it. The basic problem we have as internet entrepreneurs is we are lonely and isolated because we're tapping, sadly, at our tablets on our own. We're cooped up with our computers and we're going insane with the internet. We need to connect to other people. It's only a human thing, right? And relationships are the basis of all good business. So if you are in that situation, keep listening, because we have a solution called the Amazing FBA London Mastermind. But I'm going to specifically talk to you if you're in that situation, but you are yet to launch on Amazon. So you want to launch on Amazon, you haven't got there yet. This is exactly for you. It's called the Zero to Hero Pre-Launch Mastermind. And our aim is very simple: to get you from research or importing, or even if you've got products on the way to Amazon, to launch with your first product live on Amazon. That's our goal. That's our focus. How do we achieve that? Very simple. We have a face-to-face meeting of up to 15 people, no more than that. So it's very, very focused. And you get 30 minutes minimum to talk about your business and focus on the single issue that's blocking you that month to move you forward. The other way we keep you accountable is that we have a video accountability call once a month as well, which it goes in between the physical meetups so that we keep that momentum going, because momentum's everything, guys. As you know, on your own, you just lose the dream and you fall into slowness, and then the business just dies from neglect. So we do the opposite. We keep it moving, we keep each other motivated, we inspire, and we tell the truth about what doesn't work so other people can learn from it. We also have a couple of other things. I give you an exclusive newsletter available only to members of the mastermind, where I share the latest tips, techniques and tricks and bigger strategies that I'm trying on my Amazon businesses, and tell you what works and frankly what doesn't work as well, so you can learn from my mistakes. And of course, there's an exclusive Facebook group to share all this good stuff with each other in between the meetings and the accountability calls. So there's a ton on offer here. It's obviously going to be very limited because it's maximum 15 people anyway, but for the first 5 people who come on board, there will be a special deal and a very special price for life. But that's obviously only for the first 5 people who come on board. So if you want to check it out, just go to amazingfba.com/London Mastermind, and you can find out there more about it. You can apply there as well if you want to. And if you move fast, you might even be one of the lucky first 5 people to take advantage of it as well. So that's amazingfba.com/London Mastermind. I'm going to put this video out to everyone on my podcast and everyone in the Facebook group, of which we've got nearly 900 members now, and on the YouTube channel. So I imagine that this will fill quite quickly. So if you're serious about it, get yourself over to amazingfba.com/London Mastermind, and you can find. Thanks for listening.